Welcome to the tutorial on how to set up your very own SAP 7.51 trial server in the cloud. This trial server is pretty much all-inclusive. It allows you to interact with almost all transactions, better your BW skills, and even code some ABAP. One thing I do want to mention is this is a free trial, so you must renew your license every 90 days, otherwise you get locked out of your environment. And it's not entirely free per se because you do need to host this on the cloud, and there's a cost associated with having that cloud server, but it's quite inexpensive relative to what you would pay for a private company to host your own SAP server. If you were to go through a third party that provides SAP hosting, you're looking at, at least $300 a month to have your own private environment, if not more. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to quickly set up an SAP server in the cloud that you can connect to from anywhere in the world. So let's get started. The first step is to set up hosting. So open up your favorite browser and go to sapbwtraining.net/hosting. This launches you to my favorite cloud hosting provider. They're the cheapest one I found and super reliable, so I highly recommend them. And what we're going to need to do is come to the servers dropdown and choose the self-managed cloud VPS server option. We need a minimum of 6 gigabytes of RAM to run this SAP server. So I would highly recommend going with the T80 option right here, which is the 8 CPU core, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 80 gigabytes of storage. And you have unlimited bandwidth. So nothing to worry about as far as ancillary charges. You're going to be charged this amount per month, and that's it. And as you can see, they're currently running a promotion, so the actual price will be $21.24 a month. So I'm just going to click Buy Now. And currently it shows the price is $24.99, but the discount, it says, is applied on the next page. So we can leave all this at the default. Depending upon your location, you might want to choose one that's closer to you. I'm right in the New York area, so I'm going to choose this as the data center. And this just means this is how far away you are from the actual server. For the operating system, go ahead and choose the Ubuntu server 16.04, 64-bit. We can leave everything else as default. And click Continue. And as you can see, the coupon has been applied, so we are saving $375 a month, and our total on a monthly basis will be only $21.24, which is an amazing deal. Okay, so now let's scroll down, and we'll begin the checkout process. Go ahead and input all of your information, and then we'll just keep scrolling down. Answer the security question. And I'll be using my credit card for this recurring payment. And then just check the box down here to accept the terms of service. And check out. Okay, so the transaction is now processing. Click Next if you're prompted. All right, so now that the order has been placed, go ahead and click on the click here to go to your client area. And then make sure that you verify your email address. So check your email and click on the verification link. All right, so once you've verified your email address, go ahead and click on this area right here where it has like that blue link. This is your server. We can see that it's currently offline and that's because we just purchased it, so it's going to take a little bit of time to come online and allow us to log in. So let's give it about 10 minutes, and while we're waiting, let's install the software called Putty, which will allow us to connect to the server and install SAP on it. So open a new tab, and just within Google, search for Putty, P-U-T-T-Y. I'm just going to click right here, which is the latest release for Putty. And since I'm running Windows 64-bit, I'm going to click on that link. And now we'll open the installation. And we'll set up Putty. I'll choose to have a shortcut added. By default, it doesn't show up on your desktop, but I want it there so I don't lose track of it. Click yes. Don't really care about the README file, and finish. You can go ahead and close that tab. And I'll minimize this screen, and here is Putty. So let's double click on Putty, and then here we're prompted to enter an IP address, a port, a connection type. The IP address is right here, the primary IP. So you can go ahead and copy that, and we'll paste that right there. And then under the additional information tab, we see this password. We'll need this for initially connecting to our server. So go ahead and copy this. And it looks like our server is still offline. So let me just refresh this page to see if it's come up. And it looks like it's online. Awesome. So back into Putty, we have our IP address. We can leave the default port 22, and we're connecting via SSH. Click open. We're prompted with an alert saying, a new computer is trying to connect to your server. Do you want to allow this? Choose yes. Now we'll be logging in as root, R-O-O-T, and this is the only user that we really need to care about with this server. Click enter, and now we're prompted to enter our password. The password can be found within the additional information tab. So you can copy that in and paste it, but sometimes it doesn't work when you paste it in, so I'm just going to manually type it. If for any reason your password is not working, you can come down here where it says Cloud Server Panel and log in using these credentials. So currently mine's not letting me in, so I'll need to reset my root password. So I'll just open up a new tab, and I'll use these credentials to log in. Come down to the root/admin password, and then click change. Choose yes. And again, you'll only need to do this if the default password for any reason isn't allowing you to get in. This can happen sometimes, but hopefully yours will work the first time. If not, again, just pop into this Cloud Server Panel and manually reset it. What's going to happen now is your system will be taken down, the password will then be changed, and then you can log in using this new password right here. So let's wait about 5 to 10 minutes for our system to come back online and then attempt to reconnect. Okay, so it's been a few minutes and I'm going to attempt to reconnect to my server. It may not be online yet, but I'm getting impatient, so All right, so it looks like it's back online. Type in root, enter, and now we'll enter this new password that we just reset. Paste it in. So now I'll just manually type this password because, once again, when I pasted it in, it didn't work. Okay, so that worked. Just go ahead and manually type it in because oftentimes when you copy and paste, it loses it. So we are connected. What we need to do now is change that password because that thing is a nightmare. So type PASSWD and then enter a new password. Enter the password once more. All right, so we are now good to go. Our password for root has been changed, and we'll be using that going forward and not this long string. And before I forget to mention, if you're on a Mac, you can also log in to your server using the terminal application. And I'll demo that right now. Just search for terminal. And to connect to your server, we'll type SSH space root, the @ symbol, and then the IP address of our server. We see a similar message like we saw in PuTTY that's prompting us to trust this particular server. Choose yes by typing out yes. Type in your password. So this is the one we just changed our root password to. And we're in. So from this point forward, you can use either the terminal application on your Mac or you can use PuTTY on Windows. All right, so now that we are connected to our system, let's do a couple housekeeping items. Please go ahead and navigate to the hosts file by typing sudo nano /etc/hosts. Go ahead and come down to the second line and enter a hashtag. This is going to comment out that row. And now we'll type in on this third row our IP address. I'll press the space bar a few times to get over to this alignment. And now we'll type VHCALNPLCI. This is our application server name for our SAP system. Press space. Once again, VHCALNPLCI dot dummy dot no domain. We'll need to save this by doing a Control X to exit. We're prompted to save. Choose Y for yes. And then for our file name to write, we'll leave it as hosts. Obviously, we don't want to change this to be a new file, so press enter. We've successfully added our SAP application server to our hosts file. The next step is to change our system host name. If we type host name, we see that it's currently localhost.localdomain. Let's change that. Type sudo space nano space /etc/hostname. We'll delete all of this. And we'll type VHCALNPLCI. We'll do a Control X to exit. Save. All right, so if we type hostname again, we see it hasn't changed. We need to take our system down and log back into it for this to take effect. So type out sudo space reboot. All right, so we lost connection to our server, obviously, because it's going down and coming back up. So wait a couple of minutes, and then we'll attempt to log back into our server. All right, so it's been a couple of minutes. I'll now try to reconnect to my server. Looks good, so I'll log in as root, type in my password, and I'm in. And the first thing you'll notice is we now have our host name, which has changed. Now it's showing VHCALNPLCI, which is what we wanted. And just to confirm, I'll type host name. And it is showing our SAP server name, so looks good. Before we begin the SAP installation, we need to install a couple of other files. So type sudo space apt-get space update. Press enter. This is going to reach out to the Ubuntu servers and pull all the latest packages that we have available to us to download and install on our machine. Once that completes, type sudo space apt-get space install space csh. Once that completes, press the up arrow, and that'll just bring back the same line versus having to type it all out again. And I'll delete the CSH, and the next program we'll be installing is called libio-dev. And choose yes, Y, enter. CSH and the libio-dev are required for our SAP application server to function properly. Okay, just so to quickly recap, we've signed up for hosting, we've successfully logged into our system, and we've changed our host name to match the one that is required by SAP. And the next step is to now register for our trial and transfer all the files that are required for this trial onto our SAP server out in the cloud. So go ahead and open up a brand new tab within your browser and go to sapbwtraining.net/SAP 751 download. This will route you to SAP's download page where you can sign up for a trial. We could see down here under the SAP NetWeaver as ABAP Developer Edition, we have two options, version 7.5 and version 7.51. Go ahead and click on the newer version, 7.51. You're required to have an SAP account in order to register for this trial. So if you don't have one, go ahead and create one by registering. And it's free. There's no cost associated with registering for the SAP store. I already have one, so I'm just going to log in. Once you're logged in, you could check this out for some details, understand what's exactly included in this trial, and once you read through everything, go ahead and click on Trial Version. And now you'll be entering your information. Check the boxes and choose Submit. You'll then receive an email from SAP that looks just like this, that has a link to click here. This is the link that's valid for only 48 hours that contains the SAP trial download files. There's 10 files right here for you to download, but I've actually made it a lot easier and hosted these files for you on another cloud server. So the download process will be much faster and won't require you to download all these locally and send them up to your cloud. So instead of downloading these files, just pop back into your SAP server. And now we'll do a CD space /. This is going to navigate us to our home directory. Once we're there, we'll type mkdir space SAP 751. Now I'll type ls to list out all the files and directories in this particular folder that we're in. And we can see that we now have a SAP 751 folder. Type cd space SAP 751. So now we're inside this folder. So since we're now inside our SAP 751 folder, let's go ahead and start downloading the trial files, which are about 1.2 gigabytes each, and there's 10 of them. So we'll download those into this folder by typing wget space SAP BW training.net / SAP 751 _ 01.rar. So I've backed up all 10 of these files onto my server, so you could just download them directly from that server onto your machine. So click enter, and you can see how fast the download process is. It's ridiculously fast compared to downloading them locally to your machine and then FTPing them up to your server. So I've taken all the legwork out for you. We'll press the up arrow, and I'll just left arrow over and then update this to be part 2.rar. So we'll continue to do this for all 10 of the files. So I'll just go ahead and speed up the video until this completes. Okay, so now that all 10 of the RAR files have been downloaded, I'll just type ls. Make sure I didn't miss any of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good. So now we have to get these RAR files out of this format and extracted so we can actually access the SAP installation files. In order to do that, we'll need to first install an extraction program. So type sudo space apt-get get space install space rar space unrar. Press enter. This will download and install the extraction program we'll need. And now all we're going to do now is begin the extraction using just the first part, and that will trigger all the remaining parts to extract. So we'll type out RAR space X space and then this file name. So SAP 751 underscore 01 dot RAR. Press enter and the extraction job begins. So I'll just speed up the video until this completes. All right, so it looks like all of our files have successfully been extracted. I'll just verify this by typing ls. And as you can see, we have our original RAR files highlighted here in red. And then we have the new directories, server, client, img, along with a few files. The install.sh file is the brains behind the entire SAP installation. So we'll be kicking that off right now. To install SAP, let's first set the permissions for this file to the proper level. So we'll type out chmod space the plus sign x and then install.sh. So now that the proper permissions have been set up, we can kick off our SAP installation. Type period / install .sh. So our host name is compliant. If your host name doesn't say VHCALNPLCI, it's obviously not going to work, so do make sure that you followed all the steps exactly as I've laid them out within this video. We'll press enter. And now we'll just keep pressing enter to get through all this text. We'll type yes and press enter. Now I'll be setting up our SAP administrator password. This is very important, so do not lose this password. Go ahead and set yours up now. All right, so I just created my custom password, and the SAP installation has begun. I'll go ahead and just speed the video up, but you'll get a pretty good idea of how long it'll take based on my installation time. Okay, so my SAP install took about a half hour, start to finish. You can see here the installation of NPL successful, and that means that everything's great. Your SAP system went through fine, and you can now actually log into it. So great job if you see this. It might take longer than 30 minutes for your installation, so your installation time may vary. It could take 20 minutes or up to 2 hours, so just bear with the process and hopefully it goes through in your first try. So now that we have our SAP system all set up, there's a couple more steps we need to take. SAP isn't very good about updating their database license on their own servers, so let's double check to make sure that we have the current version of the database license installed on our system. So let's navigate to the licenses folder, which is buried a few levels deep in our SAP installation. So let's type cd space / Sybase / NPL, all uppercase, / SYSAM, SYSAM -2 _0, and press enter. ls. And now we see this licenses folder. Let's go into that. Type cd licenses and ls. So this is the Sybase database trial license. And like I mentioned, SAP isn't the greatest with keeping this up to date. If you were to download the files right now off their website, it would probably still be out of date. So let's fix this right now. The first thing we'll do is check inside this file to see if it is out of date. So we'll do a sudo space nano space Sybase _ ASE _ test drive .lic. It is case sensitive. And we see here it's set to expire March 31st, 2018. We've already surpassed that date. So this may cause issues when we try to bring our system down and back up again. So we'll go ahead and just replace this license file with a new one that SAP pushed out but forgot to update within their actual installation file. So just do a Control X to back out. And now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this file. So type rm and then Sybase _ ASE _ test drive .lic. That's going to remove that file from our server. And now we're going to download the brand new one. So get space SAP BW training.net / and then once again the Sybase license. So Sybase _ ASE _ test drive .lic. Okay, so it pulled that file down. And now I'll just once again press up, and then do a sudo nano just to show you guys that it is now updated to 2019. So I'll make sure to keep that license file updated so in the future you can just download it quickly from the SAP BW training website. All right, so SAP is now all set up. The next step is to actually connect to SAP using SAP GUI. I'll show you how to download and install SAP GUI so you can connect to your SAP environment. To get started, come on over to your favorite browser. In this example, I'm using Google Chrome, and type sapbwtraining.net / ABAP74 GUI. This brings us to a 1.1 gigabyte file, which is our GUI zip file containing all of the install files we'll need. Click download. And it'll take a few minutes, so let's also download one other file. And this is going to be a patch for that GUI that we just downloaded. So again, sapbwtraining.net / ABAP74 GUI patch. And this is going to bring our SAP GUI a bit more up to date. Click download. Okay, so now that both our SAP GUI installer and the SAP GUI patch have been downloaded, let's extract all the files within the zip file. So we'll right click on our SAP GUI installer and then choose extract all. And extract. So this will take a bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and just pause the video until this unzipping completes. Okay, so now that that file has unzipped successfully, it might have opened up all on its own for you, but if not, just go ahead and drill into the unzipped folder, and we'll navigate through the BD_NW 7.0 presentation 7.4. So go into that folder, Pres 1, GUI, Windows, Win32, and then all the way at the bottom of the screen, you should see a setup all. Just go ahead and double click that. Choose yes. Click next. And all we need to check here is the SAP GUI component. So as you can see, there's a ton of other stuff this includes, but all we need is SAP GUI. Click next, and the installation begins. This will take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video and we will resume once the installation completes. So my install has completed, but this screen is letting me know that there may have been some errors. But do not worry. The errors that we're seeing here are simply because we didn't install all the software. So you can go ahead and ignore that and reboot your system as prompted. And just keep in mind, SAP software isn't equivalent to a company like Apple, where everything's packaged perfectly and easy to install. The SAP software oftentimes isn't tied up in a neat little bow, so it's a little more rigid, but we'll get through it and we'll install all the components that are necessary for this. Okay, so now that our system has booted back up, your SAP logon may or may not work at this point. If it doesn't work, you might get some errors right now that are prompting you saying there's some missing files. And if that's the case, just click through those messages and then launch the patch installation. So just for example's sake, I'm also going to kick off the patch installer to make sure our SAP logon is up to date. So we'll kick off that second file that we downloaded. Click next to begin the patch install. And once again, I'll just pause the video until this completes. And make sure you've closed out the SAP logon and then just go ahead and retry, just in case you left it open. Okay, so now that the patch has been installed successfully, we have to reboot our system. Go ahead and reboot. Okay, so once your computer has rebooted, we can now launch SAP Logon and connect to SAP. So just in case your SAP Logon icon isn't shown on the desktop, you could simply click on your Windows icon and then view the SAP front end. Within that, there's the SAP Logon program. This is the SAP Logon screen. This is where all of your SAP connections are going to live. We'll need to create a brand new connection before we can actually connect to any SAP system. So the next step is to click on that blank piece of paper and create a new connection to a system. Choose Next. And we don't have to mess with anything but a couple of these rows. So ignore the top part. And now give your system any description you'd like. I'll call mine BW 7.51. And as for the application server, This is the IP address to your cloud SAP BW environment. So whether it be private or shared, you'll be inputting the IP address that you were provided. Next up is the instance number. This is always 00. And finally, the system ID, NPL. Click Finish. And now all we need to do is double click on this connection, and that's going to immediately connect us to the SAP system in the cloud. Now that we've connected to our SAP environment, we'll log in using the SAP star user, and the password is appliance. Okay, we can see that our current server license expires July 21st of 2018. And just go into transaction S license, and we'll make sure that we have an updated license right now, just in case there's any issues, because the one that comes with our system is temporary. So we'll just select that row, go to Edit, and Delete License. The license has now been deleted from our system. We'll pop into Google Chrome, and now we'll just Google SAP Mini SAP, and that'll bring you to a Mini SAP page. And currently the URL is go.support.sap.com/mini-SAP. As you scroll down, you'll see the NPL Sybase version. This is the version we need. So come on down and just fill out some information here. Your email. And then your hardware key. This is the information you're going to be pulling from your S license transaction. This ties back to your system. So we'll just copy and paste our hardware key. And check the box, you agree? I agree. And generate. Now we must push this file onto our server. But we could do this right through the SAP GUI. So click on Install. Now we'll locate the NPL file that we just downloaded. We'll hit Allow so SAP can connect to our machine. And the license key was successfully installed. And you can see that the license is now expiring 1 day later than initially was. So do set a reminder to manually renew your license because it does expire after 90 days. Set a calendar reminder so you can just go in there and re-up your license. It's free, so it just takes a little bit of effort. Otherwise, you can't log into your system. Once you've updated your SAP license, go ahead and log into your system using the developer user. And again, the password is appliance. Now go to transaction RS_TCO_admin. This is a transaction that will activate a lot of SAP objects that are specific to BI, because out of the box, they sit dormant. So we have to manually kick off this job, which will activate them, which is what we want. Now I'll go to transaction SM37 to monitor the job. And this is just because I'm curious. So I can click into the job, look at the log, and I see that it's running currently. You can refresh to check the progress. And this will probably take around 15 minutes to complete. All right, so now that we have successfully activated all of our BI content, let's now check out a scenario whereby your user will get locked out of the system. So let me just exit out of SAP by doing a /NEX. And now I'll log in as the developer user. But this time, I'll incorrectly enter the password. Attempt 1 failed. Attempt 2 failed. Attempt 3 fails. Closes the window. Let's try once more. The fourth fail. Fifth. And this user can no longer log in because there's been too many failed attempts. In order to unlock a user that's been locked out of the system, you must log in as SAP star and log in with the password appliance. And go to transaction SU01. We'll type in our user, which we just locked out, which is developer. And right up here, you see the little lock symbol. Click that. We can see that this user has been locked due to incorrect logon attempts. Click the unlock. And just like that, this user can now log into the system again. And there you go. So that's how you can unlock a locked user. Now let's take a look at how to start and stop your SAP environment. So I just restarted my Ubuntu server out in the cloud, and SAP doesn't start automatically, so we'll need to manually restart our SAP server. To do this, we'll type su space npl adm. And this is the administrator user that will allow us to start and stop SAP along with other system maintenance functions. But you're really only going to be using this user just for starting and stopping your system. So we can see that we're now using the npl admin user, and our screen looks a little bit different. So in order to start SAP, simply type out start SAP space all and press enter. This begins the startup process. It should take under 5 minutes to start your system. And as you can see, if I try to connect to my system, it currently cannot be reached. Let me go back. Looks like it's still in the process of booting up. Okay, so SAP is now online. So let me go back to SAP GUI. I'll double click. And as you can see, SAP is now able to be connected to. If you want to stop your system, simply type stop SAP space all. And this takes your SAP system back down. So if you ever have any issues on your SAP environment, complaining about memory usage and other random abnormalities, it's a best practice to restart your SAP environment. Okay, so my system is now down. We got a message saying that our server has been shut down. We try to connect to it, and nothing. It's off. So that's how you start and stop your SAP system. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to get your own personal SAP environment up and running in the cloud. If you enjoyed this course, please go ahead and leave a review, and don't forget to share with your friends. Thank you. So some of you may not have access to a Windows machine, but don't worry. In that case, we can install the SAP GUI for Mac. So navigate to your SAP 751 folder, expand the client tree, And then within the Java GUI folder, you should see two .jar files. Click on the version 37.jar. Click Next. Click Next. And we can leave all the default options selected. Install. And we're all good. It has successfully installed. Click Close. And just so you know, some users have been having issues installing the 38 version, so just, again, go with the 37. All right, so now that SAP GUI has been installed, you can either launch it from the Applications section under SAP Clients. And you can see here that I have two versions that are currently installed on this Mac, the revision 8 version and the revision 12. So revision 12 is the one we just installed. You can expand that and then simply double click to open the application. Or if you don't feel like navigating through the applications folder, you just come up to search and search for SAP, and then you should see your available GUIs you can launch. So revision 12. We'll double click to launch. And you should see a brief loading screen followed by this connection panel screen. So currently we have no connections set up, so we'll manually configure our connection right now. All right, so from the Java GUI Services folder, right click and choose New Connection. For our description, we can call this whatever we want, but I'll call this SAP 7.51 server. We can leave everything on this page as is, and then pop on over to the Advanced tab. Then we'll check the box for Expert mode. And then we're going to leave this, the CONN equals, and now we'll input /H / your IP address to your SAP server. So type in your IP address / S / 3200. So now that we have our IP address inside of our connection string, we can go ahead and just click Save. And then to connect, we can either double click or click Connect. And there you go. That's how you can quickly set up SAP GUI on the Mac and begin working within your SAP environment.